Hey guys, Lon from the ECOM Zone, and I'm back with another video. And this one's not really a great one. So if you haven't heard, Donald Trump just announced another set of tariffs worldwide and even China, and he also ended the de minimis exemption, which is a bigger problem than the tariffs right now. So what we're going to discuss in this video is what is the de minimis exemption, the end of the de minimis exemption, how will the US handle the influx of parcels, is this a bluff by Trump? How much tariffs are we paying now? The impact on dropshipping from China to the US, and how to tackle this problem as a dropshipper, or even if you're just selling goods from China to the US, and what I'm going to do moving forward, how I'm going to update my shipping policy, updating shipping times, and increasing prices to the US on my Shopify store. So guys, this video is only for dropshippers dropshipping from China to the US. It does not impact you if you're dropshipping from, I don't know, China to the UK or Europe or Australia. So just make sure you understand that. So what is the de minimis exemption? So goods under $800 can enter the US without customs duties, taxes, or detailed reporting. This was great news for dropshipping because most of our goods was under $800 and they could freely enter the US to our US customers. In 2016, this value was raised from $200 to $800 by Barack Obama because it was just too much to regulate tiny parcels that cost $1, $5, $10. It meant more labor, effort, and time to process parcels if it was kept at $200. Now Trump, he wants to remove this completely. So all parcels from China entering the US has to be checked now by customs border. It has to be tax, duties paid, etc. The potential tax revenue from customs tax and duties were too low to warrant any serious investigation. And that's why Barack Obama increased it from $200 to $800. It was beneficial for dropshippers relying on suppliers in China, and it was beneficial for big e-commerce giants operating in the US, but they were shipping stuff from China, or even Mexico or Canada. So Trump announced the end of the de minimis exemption yesterday, but it will take into effect on May 2nd, 2025. So we basically have a month to prepare on what we're actually going to do and if we're still going to sell to the US. Shipments under $800 will now face duties of up to 30% of the value or $25 per item, which is a package. So if you're sending a parcel with 5 items in there, I believe the $25 will be on the package and not per item within the package. This will increase to $50 per item or package after June 1st, 2025. The above is in addition to any other duties, including those imposed by prior orders, which means it's 10 plus 10%, plus another 34% that he introduced yesterday. Carriers must report shipments to the US Customs. Customs may require formal entry, and this covers goods coming from China and Hong Kong, and they may extend this de minimis exemption to Macau. So how will the US handle the influx of parcels? Well, the Secretary of Commerce has notified that adequate systems are in place to collect tariff revenues at the borders. However, I don't think that's the problem here. The problem here is that there will be too many parcels entering the US with a value of like $1, $5, $10. Anything small, it's just not worth collecting tariffs for. $1 would just be maybe $1.50. That's only 50 cents. Now, who's going to process that? And this is why Barack Obama increased the de minimis exemption value from 200 to 800, because it's simply too cheap and it's not worth the time and effort. Carriers transporting these postal items must report shipment details to the US Customs and Border Protection. So is this a bluff? Will Trump really end the de minimis exemption? I think it's likely because it did happen in February. Could he be doing this to negotiate with China? Unlikely, because China's not budging. They're just increasing tariffs on their end and it's just become a trade war. Will he have to reinstate it again after closing the loophole due to problems caused in the shipping network? Maybe, and it's very likely, because last time he removed the de minimis exemption, it created a massive backlog of parcels in the US shipping network and everyone was complaining, which made him reinstate that de minimis exemption. So Maybe this time around there will be a backlog of parcels that they just can't get through, which will affect other parcels. It won't just affect dropshippers, it will affect everyone shipping parcels worldwide into the US. So will Trump push back on the date it starts? Unlikely. I believe it will start on May 2nd. So how much tariffs are we paying now? So currently February 1st of 2025 he imposed a 10% tariff on China. Then March 4th came along, he imposed another 10%. Then yesterday, he announced that they'll be imposing another 34% tariffs on China. Now, I'm not too sure if that's starting now or May 2nd. So if that's starting now, that means we're going to see an increase in prices on AliExpress by 54% to the US. On May 2nd, we may see another 30% increase per item or $25 per item. And I've read the white paper, I'm not too sure how they're going to charge or decide if it's 30% or $25 per item. And on June 1st, they're going to increase this to $50 per item. So an item that costs $10 on AliExpress may now cost up to 84% more. So let's just say you're selling something for $30 on your Shopify store and you're sourcing it on AliExpress for $10. Well, this can actually increase up to $18 now because of the new Trump tariffs. And if you think about it, that's a lot of your profits taken away. That's at least $8 taken away. And depending on your average order value and how much profit you're making and your profit markups, etc., that's going to be a lot of money coming out of your profit margin. So you do need to take this into account. And some of you may think, oh, why not I just increase prices? Well, guys, when you increase prices, your conversion rates may drop. It's very likely it will, depending on the perceived value of your items. For example, that $30 item you're selling may not be able to sell for $40 or $50 just because of the perceived value. So let's just say you're selling a hat for $30. You can't really just increase it to $50 just because of the tariffs, because people may not want to buy a $50 hat. So you do need to keep that in mind. So the impact on dropshipping from China to the US. We're going to see higher costs, of course. Many of our parcels avoided duties through the de minimis rule. Now every package from China will be taxed, making small shipments much more expensive. The 30% duty will be on top of the imposed 20% tariff that was introduced earlier this year, plus the other 34% that Trump is talking about. We don't really have clarification on what the total tariff is. It could be 54 or it could be 84%. We're going to see stricter customs enforcement. Dropshippers may need to collect more information from customers in the US so their parcels can pass through customs. This will mean more delays and more paperwork. So shipping times can extend from 5 to 10 business days to even 20 business days, depending on how the US border protection is going to process these parcels. There's going to be carrier compliance, so logistics companies must now track and remit duties, potentially increasing shipping fees and processing times. To be honest, guys, it seems impossible to continue dropshipping from China to the US in the near future due to the rising costs, delays, uncertainty, and regulations caused by Trump. So how do we tackle this problem? Well, there are 4 ways. You either find AliExpress suppliers that ship from the US to the US, or you use 3PL in the US to ship your products, but this means you have to bulk order your items into the US, which will face tariffs as well, and duties, storage costs, etc. Also, brands like myself, who has over 2,000 products on their stores, can't just simply bulk order items into the US. Sourcing products from another country like Vietnam or Thailand or Malaysia or India, that's possible, but they're also facing more duties. You could also sell higher price items or include bundles to absorb duty costs. But again, this really depends on how much your AliExpress suppliers are charging you and the extra costs they're going to put onto those product prices. So what am I going to do moving forward? I'll continue to advertise to the US until the end of April 2025 because they're only closing the de minimis exemption loophole in May. I'll also increase the prices to the US market after May. I'll also create new Facebook ad campaigns targeting other countries. And these countries include Canada, Australia, Europe, UK, UAE, and a few other countries. I'll continue to use DSers and AliExpress to process orders. and I'll keep in contact with my suppliers on AliExpress and see if they have any news on how AliExpress will tackle this and where the duties will be paid. And I'll also keep track of my prices on AliExpress and see if the prices have gone up for the same item over the past 6 months. I'm also going to update my shipping policy. So at the end of April, I'll add this notice to my shipping policy page again. So notice potential shipping delays to the US. Shipments to the US may experience slight delays due to recent executive orders by Donald Trump impacting the Minimus exemptions and increasing tariffs on goods from China. We are actively monitoring the situation and will share updates on our blog. So guys, you can literally copy this notice and put it on your own shipping policy page. I'm also going to update shipping times to the US. So at the end of April, I'll be changing my shipping times to the US from estimated 5 to 10 business days to 5 to 20 business days. And then I'll monitor that as I go along. So after May, any shipments to the US, I will be monitoring them and seeing if they still arrive within 2 weeks. And if they don't, then I just have to keep waiting until they do. And that'll be like the estimated shipping time. So last but not least, at the end of April, I will be increasing prices to US market within the market section on Shopify. And so you can increase the prices of your products to the US only by a certain percentage. So right now I have it set at 8% because of the previous tariffs. With the new tariffs, this is going to have to increase to about 15% at least, or even 20%. And that's ridiculously high. And I'm not even too sure if my customers will be willing and happy to pay an extra 12% on my product prices, because my product prices aren't really high perceived value items. They're kind of like in the middle. So who knows? I may even have to switch niches and leave the store, which is really hard for me because I've been working on my store for the past 5 years now, and it was my first ever dropshipping store that I've opened and run since I started dropshipping. But we'll see how it goes. Anyways, thank you guys for watching and staying to the end of this video. Let me know in the comment section below how you're going to deal with this situation. And if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to my channel for more content, and peace.